Enough monkeys and enough typewriters can eventually produce a gaming series, but this monkey actually did it. Hey everyone, Brento here. Welcome to another episode of Dump City. This is going to be the season finale. Perhaps you might have seen an episode prior to this one, half episode, one that isn't a full integer number. Obviously, those aren't official episodes, those are experimental episodes. I probably should have mentioned that last week. The world itself, since last episode, has had some issues. We'll get into that shortly. Even though this is the season finale, this doesn't mean I've actually met my goal. And I've come to realize it's going to be hard to do it for various reasons. I'll explain that later, but I think we still have a good episode. And my solution to not meeting the season goal is going to be to do a little experimental episode afterwards, a short one, where you'll see the goal kind of achieved, and I'll be able to promote what I think could be next season's content. So that's a bit of a spoiler for what's going to happen. Like I say, this is the actual season finale. There'll be a small one after this. It's kind of a marketing tool for next season. So we're going to summarize everything here and see how it goes. So what's in the show today, you ask? Where do you get your ideas from? Who are your writers, right? I write quite a bit of this stuff. I get ideas from other people. Sometimes, if I'm having a conversation with someone or I overhear something and go, that's interesting, do you mind if I use that for the show, right? Not everything here is motivated by me. Other people who create interest in me get me to think of a topic. Likewise, I'll learn something on YouTube or anywhere in the internet or just anywhere in the world. It'll be a motivation for some of these topics. Hopefully I can get through most of these. Quite a few topics not covered. I won't announce everything, but here's what I hope to get covered is why capitalism fails. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of a speech on that, sort of a logical argument. I've done that argument in the past where, depending on your definition of socialism, you can include capitalism, to the exact same format it is now. So it's basically a superset of the same economic policy system. So it was kind of illogical to say that capitalism is better because the versions of socialism can do it too. But I have a logical reason, especially the format we use in Western societies. And it's almost guaranteed to fail the way it's designed. I'll explain why. Talk about the purpose of mustard. Do you put mustard on your hot dogs? I'll tell you the purpose of it. You might be shocked by that. The cause of the ice ages. I have a bit of a theory on what causes ice ages. I might have mentioned it in previous episodes as a comment, but I've never really talked about it extensively. I know a lot of people think, well, climate change isn't a big deal. Oh, just wait for the ice ages. It's just a pattern. But do you understand what causes the ice ages? If you don't, you should probably listen a little bit further into the show, and I'll give you a really good explanation. I think it makes good sense. I have an idea for real socialism, to how it can be implemented relatively painlessly in today's economy and Western societies. You could create socialism without having to have a Bolshevik revolution. It's quite possible. I will talk about why a diversified economy outperforms a specialized economy. There's a lot of wealthy regions of the world that have specialized economies, but Detroit was a specialized economy, right? And I'll talk about eugenics and socialism versus capitalism. I believe each system breeds a certain type of people, consciously or unconsciously. So I'll talk about that. And who is richer, Thailand or Vietnam? One of these is communist, one of these is capitalist. Who is the richer nation and who's growing faster, right? So that will be a discussion. There's a reason I chose those countries specifically. They're very similar. They have very similar geographies, similar amount of coastline, culture. Neighbors are the same. A little like Canada and the US, they're very similar. Lots of cultural similarities. But one of them's communist, one of them's capitalist. So we can see which system's better by comparing them. The problem with Canada and the US is they're both capitalist, so you don't learn anything from that analogy. So let's get back to the game here. What's going on in the world here? We were zoomed out here. The year is 1990. We're well into the year. Our population's down to 19,500. As mentioned, the end of this season was going to happen when I reach 20,000 people and I have a US dollar purchasing power of, well, I made it as low as 2 million. I think I've stated 6 million, but we're way over that. We have so much money in our realistic mode, workers and resources game here, that money's not the issue. I could probably just buy 500 people and just say, yay, I did the season, I met the goals. Again, there was a point, if you watch the series, about 7 episodes ago, I thought I was going to go bankrupt. I had various plans in mind on how to actually do the rest of the season without enough money. And we actually got through that. So that's a good thing. But the population's been an issue. What was the last census, you ask? As you know, census is done the end of winter on February 22nd every year. And that's when you have to have 20,000. So in 1989, we had 19,933. We were 67 people away. Then I decided to expand into Las Vegas here. What do you think happened? The next year, population went down to 18,183. So we lost almost 1,800 people year to year. And if you consider the peak population was well over 20,000 in between, we lost over 2,000 people simply expanding to Vegas here. And I'm going to break down what happened. Long story short is as soon as I did that, this stable population fled, even though I gave them everything they wanted. I'll show you what happened. If you saw the last half episode, you would have seen a successful summer project. The problem is what happened over the winter, okay? So we went through one full winter and now we're into the next winter here. And the goal is to play this basically to 1991, okay? That's the end of the season. Again, I could just buy 500 people and say I made 20,000 people, but frankly, I don't have the next episode written down, okay? It's going to just be a promo piece for next season. So there is quite a bit of writing involved in this. So yeah, that's what happened here. Last episode, people in the winter, they just fled. Like, I have improved things. We had some temporary bus stops. They've now been replaced with tram stops. We have 3 of them. A bit of a spoiler, our coal facility will probably be episode 1 for next season. That's why we're doing this. Another thing we're going to learn here too is if the population can even go up in winter. Big problem is, look at this. Look at all the people waiting in the clinic here. They're freezing, but I thought the houses had built-in heating, right? But when you go to these other buildings, it's too cold. So it looks like the people still freeze even though they have heated homes. So you still need heat in these cities. Did you know that? Over 99% of people don't know that. That's why you got to watch a show. You learn some things. This is an experiment I don't think anyone's done before. Like, they say, oh yeah, they're not complaining about the heat, but the other buildings need heat. So does that mean they go to the hospital? Yes, it does. They freeze even though they have heated homes, which is, where was that in the manual, right? I've built a heat plant here in Inland Empire. One of the things that's keeping us from reaching 20,000 is our capacity to heat. We're maxed out everywhere else. So that's why we're doing this. We're going to build some coal facilities here, and we're going to build a series of heat plants in the Inland Empire here to extend around it to heat the whole zone. That's why we had to take the population hit. That's why we moved into Vegas in the first place, because that's where the workers are going to come from to produce the heat for this zone. So we've done that, and I actually have some legs of it. One of the lines here is already built, and it's starting to supply a little bit of supplemental heat into Los Angeles. And I'm going to be building another line into the city during the episode. Hopefully we get that done. This long heat pipeline here this is our build goal for the episode. Can we get this built before the end of winter? We'll see. And it might affect whether we have enough heat in the city over the winter. This is a winter challenge episode, all winter, and it's going to be me just struggling to survive with winter and to see if we can even go up in population, which I don't think we can. Every other winter, it's gone down. It either stays neutral or it goes down 2,000 people. And again, the biggest problem in our world isn't money, it's heat. Heat shortages are Achilles' heel, so to speak. So we're going to have to work on that. Like, we're taking workers out of Los Angeles to assist the construction of Las Vegas. So not much going on otherwise in other than this area here. Let's press play. We got to reach February 22nd by the end of the episode. So I got to get some playtime in here. I got to talk while playing. One of the topics I want to cover here is one of the causes for 2,000 people to leave last winter, before this winter. It wasn't just the Vegas issue. We actually had an issue in the city, and you'll never guess what it is. I think over time, our dump sorting facility starts getting more and more aluminum cans, is my guess. This was a problem. It was clogging up. We had so much aluminum coming out of here that I couldn't recycle it into aluminum fast enough. And therefore, it would clog up. See, once the actual facility here clogs up, it backs up the whole aggregate supply chain, and it backs up right into the building. And therefore, it stopped waste processing, and therefore, it didn't produce enough waste to put into our garbage incinerators. So we had heat shortages. So there were some cold people in the city too. So since then, I've updated Coal Express a little bit here to be a little bit more resilient. Now, if it detects that there's too much aluminum scrap, or plastic scrap at one point also clogged up. I guess there's like plastic bottles are starting to get invented at this time. It seems like I haven't really changed the amount of waste it's processing, but I think over the years, the content of it changes. So I've added here plastic waste at 85% of each here. It's kind of a security measure. It causes people to freeze without it. But yeah, that aluminum problem, something to take note of if you're going to try this project of massive recycling in your game. Aluminum makes lots of money in it. I don't know about if this heat energy or if the pollution's worth it. I don't know if the plastic's even really worth it. But the aluminum cans are very much worth it. I'm going to talk about a topic here, now that I've covered basically what's going on in the game here. I want to talk about the cause of ice ages. Let's do a crazy one right off the bat. Let's do crazy first, okay? The cause of ice ages. I don't want to do any of the capitalists. I know this is a socialism simulator here, and I'm discrediting myself immediately by what I'm about to say here. But I want to talk to you about why I think ice ages occur. And I think it has to do with the planet Nibiru. Planet X, as they call it. From what I understand, it goes into the Oort cloud, and the Oort cloud is filled with comets, big icy meteors. And what happens is it has a gravitational effect, and I believe Konstantin Batkin was one of the guys who theorized this. This guy's a Caltech researcher, so this isn't a wacko. This isn't some regular, entertainer's opinion. This is actual smart guy's opinion. He believes that the planet orbits into the Oort cloud, and it might have a gravitational effect on comets. But this is the part where I add is like, well, if it brings comets in and big icy meteors land and hit our planet, wouldn't that cause temperature lowering, like throwing a giant ice cube, inside a glass of water? This is my theory. And this would also explain why it's periodic too. One of the beliefs is about roughly every 10,000 years, Planet X orbits. So that the synchronization of this planet's orbit and the ice ages is a bit of a clue, especially when you consider where the planet's coming from. So this is one of the theories why I think ice ages are periodic in nature. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Is this an insane theory? Like, people just talk about the ice ages occurring, but the question is why? Why do the ice ages occur? And this is my theory. And again, research Planet X if you don't know much about it. Millions of your tax dollars are going towards it, and there's a lot of good reason for it. These are very educated people on the topic. You've got a lot of things to do here. Our population is climbing a little bit. If we get within 100 or so, I might just buy the last few people. But I don't want to. This really is the season finale, no matter what. I don't have content for next episode. I got to talk about Planet X and aliens and stuff. I can only do it so much. I can't do it again next episode. Okay, we need more workers here. We got to get more workers in. It's starting to draw the heat too fast. So the issue is here, we have a line here. that brings in heat workers. I think I called it Pasadena track workers, of course. So it drops off. Oh yeah, there is something else that has happened since the last episode. I have finished this rail construction office, and our rail line finally built all around. I was able to move one of the track builders into here and get this operating. And now that it's operating out of here, it's building out of this zone very rapidly. I only have one track builder. I was editing some older episodes and I was looking at what happened when you put 2 to start in realistic mode. Don't ever do that. Just put 1 to start. It's a waste of your time to put 2. Put 1. Once it gets a little bit built out, you can do it very rapidly and it's not going to, step on the toes of the other one. Then throw the other one out there and they'll go in different directions. But where there's one guy just building around here like crazy, it built all this very quickly and it's building a tunnel. And I believe the other side of the tunnel is already done all the way up to here. So basically we just got to connect from this side. I'll start building this building. And that's going to be a topic for next season, is early in the season, operating a metro, which I've never done. Again, this series is a bit of a game review. Soviet Republic is one of the most realistic games you're going to play out there. It's more realistic than City Skylines. And if you want to simulate how a large scale economy works and how things interact, this is the game to do that with. If you've played other games like Railroad Tycoon 3 or something like that, and you think you're good at making money in a business simulation environment, you'll still get slaughtered in this game if you don't go through the tutorials, go through the campaign, and then maybe experiment a little bit in the sandbox. Because once you get through the campaign, you maybe know at best half the knowledge of the game once you go through the campaign. So it is a complicated game. People management and various logistical things in this game are really strong in Workers and Resources. Like keeping people happy, keeping them healthy, keeping them fed. Running out of food in your stores is a real challenge in the game. Where you put your distribution offices. And that's one of the big things about this game. I'll say the distribution office, the technical services office, and your construction office are kind of unique aspects of the game. They're just little AI sims that build your world for you, and it kind of makes the game unique. So if you've been playing the game regularly, you might just not even think of that. Oh yeah, no other game really does that. So that's what this city excels in, is the realism of building, managing a city, and maintaining your economy. If you go to realistic mode, it's probably harder than reality. If you can turn a profit in realistic mode, you should be a political leader of some sort. You got fires to deal with here too, right? You got a fire station that you have to make sure it's in a good location, right? You got to keep an eye on what's going on in the world. In terms of road builders, however, I'll say City Skylines is going to be the better road builder. At least the 2019 released version, or the beta released version, whatever it came out on, the road editor's not very good. You're not going to be able to build a dream freeway in this game. Okay, so if you just want to build the ultimate freeway system, don't get me wrong, you can build some nice road systems that are very effective. And the challenge of this game is to build effective road systems that use minimal resources. You're simulating socialism here, for goodness sake. You actually want to make some money with, and not, print money like other systems that aren't really as successful as people think they are. But this game, in terms of industry management, people management, it's currently, as of this release, the best game out there for that. So I'd highly recommend it. So there's a bit of a review for Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. I've been meaning to do that. If I'm going to call this episode The Verdict on Socialism, I better do a verdict on the game. Okay? It's a really good game. Yeah, so we're going to try to get through the year. Oh yeah, our population's going down again. And you know what's probably going down? It's because I was yapping and I forgot to get the workers that were supposed to go to the heat plant. And I got to find some buses to do that. See if we can find some buses that aren't being used. Okay, we got a bunch here not doing anything. I'm going to move this guy over. And I'm going to move this guy. Some of these are going to go to the scrapyard soon. These vehicles, they're getting a little old. I'm going to create more vehicles to service. Oh, we got another one here. Let's grab the 38% bus here. We're going to put both these vehicles on the heat route here. So what we'll do is we'll go here and we'll go to Pasadena track workers. I'm going to try not to go over the fiscal cliff while I'm doing this. Do that. So this will pick up more workers to go to the heat plant. And where's the other one we just built here? There it is. Gotta be quick here. I don't want to hit pause. See if I can do that without hitting pause. Go like that, unset that. Go here, go here, go here. And then borrow the money before we go bankrupt again. You're always borrowing money in this game. Quite the challenge. Okay, so we got to get the heat up here. Actually, it's gone up a little bit here, but now I just added 2 more buses, so we'll keep that pretty full here. I got 3 large aggregate trucks just filling this with concrete, or not concrete. That wouldn't burn very well, but filling it with actual coal. Oh, here we got another one here. Let's add this guy as well. Again, heat is what caps our population. If you don't have enough heat, you'll see our population went down. I wanted to see if the population would stabilize, but I think it's the people in Vegas dying. Like, I don't think the city itself's doing too bad. So add 1 more coal truck. This guy already has coal in it, so we can start it up right away. And it doesn't have to go to coal. It can go directly to the next stop. So that'll add more coal. And again, this is just a temporary measure, the way we're bringing coal here. It's just to keep our population growing. As you know, economically speaking, capitalists have nothing to do with the success of an economy. It's your people that do. It's people that do all the work. They make the wealth, right? That's how a real economy works. Oh no, that's a bad spot for a fire. Let's see if we can get a fire truck there. ASAP. Manually send a fire truck. Actually, I don't know if there's much going on right here. It's probably not too big a deal. But when you lose your power transformer, it sucks. Oops. Does this have a road connection? Just double check here. It appears to have a road connection. Helicopter might get it. Let's actually watch that. If it burns out, it's not a big deal. This is something I was setting up for next episode too. See if this guy gets the fire on time. Dump City, I know I was going to do some experiments, but there's nothing to do here. Like, we can't do anything until there's actually heat in this zone. And our Vegas project has sucked so many resources. Ooh, is it going to make it? There's the helicopter up there. Oh, look at that. Some excitement. Not an earthquake, but fire extinguishing helicopter is kind of cool. Well, let's check that our coal plant is at max power here. We got plenty of workers, max power. Good, good. Let's keep an eye too on our other heating plants here. So this guy here is going through the mixed waste. Okay. See, this one here only has 3 workers and not providing much heat. Like, one of the verdicts too on this garbage heating, I think it might have been better off, in hindsight, burning it for electricity might have been a better choice. It's just too hard to manage all this, and it's so dirty, and it doesn't produce enough heat. Like, at least the way it models in this game, so. It's not a bad idea, but it's not a great idea either, okay? So we have 3 of them, as you know. We have one here. This one has 9 workers. It's not doing great either. I'm going to increase to 12, because it looks like we have sporadic arrival of workers. And this one here, again, it looks like it's sporadic arrival. Let's increase that to 12. These heat plants here, actually, yeah, let's leave it at 12 for now. Does this guy have unused workers? No. Let's see if some workers, are they walking to work right now? I just don't see enough buses arriving. It's kind of strange. Maybe we're taking too many to build our heat line. We do have a lot of them being used as construction workers. Make sure we don't see any workers here not doing anything. If there's over 100 workers at a bus stop, that's a problem. Anything under that is, 90 is a little concerning, but not a big problem. I'm going to lower the staff a little bit here, and I'm going to lower the staff here at YouTube, because we don't need this many on YouTube. You just need Dump City. That's all you need. You don't need 100 YouTubers. I actually created a YouTube channel on YouTube. It's called U-Tube. If you want, subscribe to it. There's nothing on it, but just, I don't know. I thought it'd be funny. Okay, and yeah, let's check out here. Ooh, we might want to go a few more doctors. There is some heat issues somewhere. We didn't have enough heat workers. We got to burn through all this garbage. Okay, we got a bunch in. The needle's going to go back up. Are there going to be some more here soon? Nope, they're not getting to work here. See if there's any other issues. Sometimes you just got to spot check it. There's so many events going on in the world that I can't always notice every notification. So sometimes you just got to check key places. We're doing repairs here. Okay, there's a bus. We could use that bus actually. This bus here, you know what? Let's put this guy. Actually, that's the tourist trap Mexico. Let's put him back on there. Because you need a few more buses in winter because they move slower because of blizzards and stuff. But we actually have too many buses bringing our tourists in for summer. They're going to the border and there's sometimes not enough to pick up, or the hotel doesn't have room for them anyways. But in winter, the delivery rate slows down. I want to talk about eugenics in socialism versus capitalism. Okay, a lot of people don't consider that their culture, their society, or whatever economic model they live in rewards certain behaviors. Like obviously if you're, the Politburo, the capitalist class, you have a different view of the world. You're the capitalists and the Politburo in a capitalist system or in a socialist system are kind of equivalents. They have the same effect, except one of them doesn't cost, 40% of your GDP. One of them is a little overpaid for the same job effectively. But the people are bred a little differently. So I believe in a capitalist system, the greediest and the more ignorant of people are going to have more children, because the less you question the system, the less you question the oligarchs taking money, and the greedy you are to get your share of the pie. Like obviously you're going to have more money, so you're going to be able to raise a family. So therefore, you're breeding greedier and more ignorant people in a capitalist system. I believe, however, in a socialist system, knowledge and thoughtfulness are a little bit more common. Like families raised in a socialist system have a bit more common sense. They're a little bit more thoughtful, the people around them, and more educated on how the system works, because it's effectively the same thing, except you're not throwing away as much money. So it's a little smarter, that system. And therefore, people in socialist nations eventually get bred to be smarter. And you can see that, it looks like, in the numbers too. Some of the smartest nations in the world, like, if you're to take the average IQ, which is a standardized test of questions that people, like, they're somewhat accurate in terms of relative problem solving ability, at least. However, Western nations don't value problem solving so much. But you'll see that China and socialist nations are typically higher than average. So yeah, I believe that capitalist nations breed ignorance and greed. Socialist nations breed problem solvers. Tell me what you think. Comment below. Comment multiple times if you want to. Sometimes it's great to comment twice. No harm in that. I'll respond to each. Okay, what happened here? Ooh, let's pause a little bit here. We can't go purely nonstop. Oh, we got very close though. Grab some money. Look at how much we have to pay now. We only owe $5 million. By the end of season 2, we're going to owe nothing in US dollars. We're going to be completely independent. This means that Canada will have collapsed, that our socialist nation was so well managed that we will have collapsed. Canada, our capitalist neighbors, for foolishly not switching to socialism like America did here. Let's check this out here. Okay, this line here, it's being built as a high priority. I want to check. Ooh, wow, we've got too many workers here. We're saturated with workers. Saturated. That means I actually had another line. See, I got these Pasadena track workers, which is just using the old crappiest buses I have. And these are going to be thrown in the scrap. Actually, you know what? You know what? Oh my God, 68%. 27 years old. This one needs a new home. You know where its new home is? The scrapyard. It's just not worth keeping. We don't need it. We had 30 people in the heat plant. One too many, and it's going to break down any moment now. 68%. It needs to be repaired, but it's a slow vehicle. We want to start getting rid of them, because this is the verdict on socialism. Does it make money? I'd like to be able to afford food, so that's why I choose capitalism. Incredible level of ignorance, these people. I'd like to, and there probably will be someone who's going to comment on this very video who's not going to watch it and not realize I mean Socialism is better because it makes you 99% of the people more money. And the 1% that it doesn't make more money, they're probably happier because they don't have all this miserable burden to deal with. If you're a Politburo member of China, you're probably happier than the average billionaire. Okay, you're pretty rich and pretty powerful too. China picked the right leader, and that's what they got. So maybe that's one of the secrets to socialism in China, is to have a really great leader. Could be, right? You can have a bad leader, right? Whether it's socialism, capitalism, whatever system. You can end up with Hitler, right? Look at North Korea, for example. You could say that's fascist in a way. It's an extreme version of socialism. Like, it's a fascism, socialism hybrid, but it's well managed because it's socialism focused now. But previous generations in North Korea weren't so great. You can have a good leader. The current leader at the time of this show's release is pretty good. The previous two, not so good. They made a lot of mistakes, bad beliefs, just bad problem solvers, I guess. But you can have a good leader and a bad leader, is what I'm saying, no matter what type of government. You can have a good dictator, bad dictator, good king, bad king, good capitalist, bad capitalist, good socialist, bad socialist. You can have bad socialist policies. If you like East Germany, right? They go bankrupt. Not good. But I'm building some things here in Las Vegas. I want to just check this out. We had some sewer backups. I want to see if the sewer trucks are emptying these fast enough. I started building some lines here to see how that would go. Yeah, they can't. We got to build a sewer system soon here. So I got to build these legs of the sewer system. This is efficient. Almost every one of our vehicles is in use. We have a tower crane. I can't, off the top of my head, think of something. Actually, I can think of something, but just one vehicle. I'm not going to create a project just to give a job for one vehicle. That's silly. That's mismanaging your economy. That's like saying there's one problem with a new innovation and therefore you don't do it. Meanwhile, there's 10 benefits. That's irrational. That's another thing capitalism breeds, is irrationality. To give away 30% of your paycheck because someone tells you you need to, that's irrational. It should be baked into the laws that that's not legal, but it's currently legal in a lot of Western nations. A month and a half to burn all this garbage still, okay? I've never really walked you through a winter episode in quite a while, like from start to finish. Like, we little after the start here, but this is going to be a challenge to get through all of winter. And you'll see how well calibrated here is. By the end of winter, all the dumps here are going to burn up all the garbage, okay? Okay, let's do another topic here, another fascinating topic. Okay, let's talk about the purpose of mustard. Have you ever wondered what the purpose of mustard is? I'm of the opinion it is to force you to spend more money, because if you take any food and you put mustard on it, you instantly ruin the food, and therefore you have to get new food. So it's a capitalist trick. It's a way to make you waste money. That's why they invented mustard, so people would put it on their food and go, ugh, this is gross. Or let's say there's food shortages. If you put mustard on all your food as a habit, you'll be like, ugh, I don't want to eat this. And then you'll rather just starve. And this way you don't complain about your government not giving you enough food. Because mustard makes food less palatable. That's my theory of mustard. Okay, whatever. I don't mind mustard. For some reason, I have like 3 containers of mustard in my fridge. And it's because I never use it. Like, I get a kit, it comes with relish, ketchup, and mustard because it's cheaper. But I just don't eat the mustard. It's like in The Simpsons where there's chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, but only the chocolate's taken out. But here, it's like the chocolate and the strawberry. Who's going to eat the vanilla, right? I can't wait till this track building's all done. This was the biggest mistake. If I could just blow this thing up and move it 10 yards over and put it on the other side of this switch. See the problem here? I can't fit it in here. There's no room to put a crossover, then run this into it. Literally one 10-meter length too short. This whole building needs to be 10 meters the other way. And this was one of the early episodes when I did that, and I've been dealing with the headache ever since. But we are going to eventually blow this thing up. Basically, once we connect to Mexico, which is what we're doing, I am going to blow that up. This does not work. It's not like the one we built here, now that I know what I'm doing in the game. You know, when I started this series, I was not an expert at this game. I'd say I am an expert now, and if you want to learn how to play realistic mode, you are going to learn and watch anywhere at the halfway point. Is, you know, you do something as a full-time job for long enough, you get good at the job eventually. So my gaming skills in this game have improved a lot. This is my second play at realistic mode, but now I've been playing this for hundreds. I'm at 1,500 hours played, so I think I know what I'm doing most times. So this is actually a much better setup. Now that I know how realistic mode track building works, that's a big factor. See, look, our population's going down here. That kind of sucks here. We discovered something, though. Oh, we discovered some nuclear stuff. Okay, let's pause a little bit here. When your population goes down, also, you got to start scrutinizing what your workers are doing, okay? You also have to start cutting jobs. You won't have enough workers showing up in your heat plants. Now, I don't know if the people are actually leaving Los Angeles here. It could be the population loss we're experiencing is mainly basically happening in Vegas. Because as we saw, our hospitals, they have heat in all these houses, yet they're all freezing. So there's something you probably didn't know. So when someone tells you you don't need to provide heat for one of these spawn cities, that's actually false. You do need heat. And it's not for the houses, it's for the other buildings. It was okay without winter, but if you have the winter mechanic in, you're going to have to also have a heat plant rapidly built too. Or you should probably build it outside your city and then build the line in rapidly. Looks like our population's going down. They have water, they got sewer, they got everything else in this city. They just don't have heat, and the population goes down. So spawn cities do require heat. See, the problem with the experiment I did in the disease research facility in Dump City is this isn't a spawned house. So I immediately unchecked that to allow people to move in because they're just going to freeze all the time because we know there's no heating. Okay? And I'm guessing it's the other buildings that cause it. So there's some information for you. Got to keep the palate lubricated, otherwise I start getting dry throat and I can't yap. I do yap a lot on this show. I talk about all kinds of nonsense. It's a one-man show. It's a variety show of interesting topics that are not controlled by the elites. It's in control of common sense and just general interest. What do I think is interesting? Then I'll put it in the show. Here's an economic principle. It's called why diversity outperforms specialization in the economy. So one of the great things about playing workers and resources is you get to simulate how to manage your money. They get to be in the driver's seat for the actual economy on a wide scale and go over every micro detail you want in this game. You'll learn more from this show and the simulation, but I'll say you'll learn the most if you actually play this game. Play workers and resources, realistic mode, and you will learn more about the economy than a 4-year course in university. Of course, unless you take that 4-year course in university, you'll probably fail at the game. So one of the reasons why a diversified economy outperforms specialized economies is because, see the price of alcohol, it's also 1,200 or 500, 1,200 rubles or $530, right? Okay, so it's 2.5 times roughly more than a dollar value. I've been selling alcohol in dollars this whole game, but I haven't been selling any in rubles. Because I don't sell any in rubles, the price of alcohol is kind of inflated. There's a high demand for alcohol. Lots of rum and rye and non-vodka. They got the vodka in Russia, but they don't have the beer. They don't have Coors beer. Just to be clear here, when I say Coors, don't want to do any kind of name infringement. There's 3 O's in my version of Coors. So the alcohol that I make in that facility goes to the Canada Customs House, not to China. So therefore, the price goes down in dollars. Okay, it's still worth it for me because it's so close to Canada. It's just a convenience thing. However, if the price goes low enough, eventually I'll stop sending it to Canada and I'll start delivering to China. But I'm fighting my debt in US dollars. So that's another reason why I'm sending it to Canada. But when you diversify, the whole point is so it doesn't put downward pressure on prices. Like every time you sell something, the price will go down a little bit, penny here, penny there. Eventually it becomes unprofitable. So if, let's say, the only thing I did was nuclear fuel, okay, that's a lot of money, right? But if the only thing I did was sell this and every single industry in my entire world did this, eventually it's probably going to become unprofitable quicker than if I sold every single thing of these once, because the downward pressure on supply and demand. We saw that when the granary burnt down here, when we had the fire and lost 3,000 tons of actual crops in it. What happened was, because I couldn't sell the crops or the cattle it was making, the prices started to go up a bit. So it wasn't worth it. Like, I wouldn't suggest burning down your grain storage is going to make you money. It won't, because the actual value of all that capital was a lot. Okay, we lost a lot of money, a few 100,000 rubles, I believe. The perk to it is it actually boosted the prices a little bit because we weren't selling for a year or two before we were back on our feet. So this is why a diversified economy is going to outperform in the long run, i.e., this is good for civic policymakers to operate this way, because you don't want to actually make it so that your nation can go bankrupt. So yeah, that's a bit of a background on why a diversified economy outperforms. If I would have just went onto the Reddit forums and said, oh, here's the most efficient industry, do this, I'd probably be bankrupt by now. You want to become independent of the custom house. If you think about it, if you have only one item you produce, that means you must buy from a custom house, and therefore they can charge whatever they want because you have to buy through them or you will starve. Think about Canada. We buy all our crops from Canada here in Soviet America. Now, let's say we went to socialism and they stayed capitalism, and they said, you know what, we want to starve you. Old money monarchs prefer not to have socialists as next door neighbors. They could literally stop giving us crops. Now, that would probably start a war in real life if that happened, but I don't think that would happen anytime soon. Again, Canada's just the part of the United States that didn't revolt, right? But in our world here, we do produce our own crops here in Houston. So we're okay, and we do have good relations with China. What's going on here? Let's see if that heat pipe's got built here. Oh, it did. Wow. That means, do we have heat here? Wow, we do have extra heat. We do have extra heat going on here. Do we have too many workers in here? We got a good amount. Not completely full. I like that. I'm glad we scrapped one of those trucks. It was just wasting money on gas, transporting people, doing something of no value. Kind of like an insurance salesman. Oh no. It's been a while since I talked about that fake job. I didn't do many fake jobs in the second half of the season. I don't want to be mean to people. People take it personally when I criticize their actual employment means, just because it's not necessarily good for the economy, what they do doesn't mean they're not working hard. And it doesn't mean they're dumb or, people that were, you do a job. Being on YouTube doesn't make sense. This shouldn't make money, but Mr. Beast is a billionaire, right? What he produces nothing for the economy, yet he's a billionaire, right? So it's entertainment. I understand that what I'm doing is irrational as well, but it makes money. And so when I criticize fake jobs, I'm well aware that what I do is also as fake as any other job. It's as fake as insurance salesman. It's as fake as any kind of salesman. In a socialist system, you just use a website and have stuff delivered to you. That's how it would really work. And everything would be half price. But a few people wouldn't have jobs. And They're the ones obviously against UBI because they'd have to live off UBI. They wouldn't have the purchasing power they have now. So this is why it's a little bit controversial. And I think it's a little negative when I talk that way too. I don't mean to be so negative. One of my more liked episodes is the one, I think it was called Happy Citizen, where I'm just trying to be happy for the whole episode and not, crap on everyone. And it was actually not bad. Like, although you got to realize when I crap on people, it's for the enjoyment of others watching the crapping on the other people. So they enjoy that part. So if you're getting crapped on, realize there are other people who are enjoying watching you getting crapped on, right? Like if you're a billionaire jerk who has ruined my life with your policies, I won't name names this time. There's some billionaire jerks I've referred to more than others in the series. You got to watch the series to learn more. But I'm not going to name them this episode because I'll be a nice guy. Maybe they'll realize they've been making mistakes. Maybe the billionaires will see the error in their ways and they will be less jerks, be more distributive. Maybe they'll say, you know what? I don't want to be a billionaire. I want socialism too. I want to be a part of the Politburo, and then I can make the laws and have less money because my business would actually be more economically powerful, though less financially scaled up, right? It would have more assets, but less worth. That's how it would work in a socialist system. Let's check underground here. So we got a heat line going there and there. And that's not bad. We got heat. I think that's all we want to build for now here. We got another apartment building here. I thought I could cheat the system a little bit by building more apartment buildings, but it looks like our population's going down. And I am a little bit concerned that we might be losing some in Los Angeles. Let's look at our buildings here. Okay, that one's well inhabited. Okay, this one's having problems. So I think the issue is this one here. I think we got to go a little higher across the board here. We got to empty out the chambers. Let's go with 6 workers here. And this one here, how are we doing? Yeah, we're not having enough workers show up in our heat plants because they're too cold. That's a very big problem. How do you solve this problem? If people are freezing because they don't have enough heat and therefore not going to the heat plants to produce the heat, everyone dies, right? It's a spiral. It's a freezing death spiral. The way you solve it is you cut jobs. That's how you solve it. So let's go around. Let's cut a bunch of jobs. Okay, so wow, this one looks like it's pretty busy. We actually got to add some jobs there. Not a good start. Okay, this one, they're not going there anyway, so who cares? We'll never cut jobs in our hotels because they make so much money. A bit of a spoiler if you're not going to watch the whole series. Tourism's good. We do have to lay off some people here. So where can we lay off here? We got just the right amount there. Actually, we do need a little bit more. Okay, let's go down a little bit on this one. This one's a little over hiring. Okay, this one here, we don't need this many kindergartens. Let's go down a bit. That's a little bit more rational. How about this? Let's go down on doctors a bit. Cutting jobs wherever we can. This is how you fix your economy. This is how you prevent the death spiral of your nation. Is you reallocate resources. Your entrepreneur should always be very, very important. Otherwise, what happens is they get very angry and everyone else suffers because now they have inferior products in their homes and the entrepreneurs become YouTubers and crap all over the establishment. That's not good. And that's caused by policymakers making the entrepreneurs that angry. You don't need this many workers in production. We can lower our profitability a little bit there. Ooh, a few too many in this school here. I'm running low on coffee. I'm going to do a little bit of a stupid bit shortly here. Let's just see where else okay, we don't need this many people at YouTube. YouTube's not the most useful thing. Okay, I'm just going to say. It's not as valuable as our radio station. Radio station's a better ROI, I think, from what I've seen. That it boosts loyalty just a little bit more. Check other buildings here. Do we have an oversupply of... Oh yeah, we got way too many. We're not repairing fast enough. Let's cut this. So we're cutting jobs everywhere. Let's go until we got problems here. Plastic workers. You kind of never want to stop with the plastic workers, but let's take this down a notch. So we're lowering our productive capacities across the board here. I assure you, our heat problems will go away. There you go. That's something I might commonly do in winter to avoid the death spiral. If you don't do that, you will exterminate everyone in your nation eventually. Oh, another thing we did do between episodes is we have Newer Money Train's been a single train the entire series. Where is it here? Where is Newer Money Train? Here it is. So Newer Money Train's been bringing crops in, moving out other things and making money. 125 large on this one in rubles, or 55 US dollars. It's not bad. But I've also just made between episodes kind of its clone. So we'll call this, oops, I went bankrupt. And you should never go bankrupt in winter because all the heat goes off because I buy the heat in rubles. But we do need to rename this. Okay, let's hit play here. I think we're going to make it to February 22nd before the end of the episode. I do have quite a few more topics, but we got to make Money Train. We'll call this one Money Train Lite because it has 2 less wagons. So it's kind of the same thing. So if Money Train gets stuck in traffic, Money Train Lite, like I have way beyond the necessary number of cargo wagons coming into this. And if someone tells you you need a big rail station, the big one to, like, look how much money this thing makes. You got to, this was operating at 170 workers, every single factory here, all maxed out in terms of employment. No issues, always has crops. You don't need a sophisticated rail system. You don't need tracks clogging up your roads, making gridlock. If you're having problems in your world, this isn't even the best layout. Like, I could do this better. On a scale of 1 to 10, this was a 8.5 in terms of successful good ideas. This could be done better. If I was to start over again, there's a slightly improved version that could be laid out of this. If you're one of these guys, you know, posts on Reddit, here's the guide how to lay out a crops warehouse facility. This could be done better in hindsight. Okay. I wouldn't say I was an expert in the first few episodes of the series. I was pretty good at the game. I was good enough to maybe win in realistic mode, but now I think I could reliably win on realistic mode on any map. It wouldn't really matter. So this would be one of the things. This is one of the key bits. In a way, this is one of the most, it's not a specific industry. It's an industry cluster that makes this efficient. And every one of these goods is usable by your people or sellable to greedy capitalists. People are dying. Our population's going way down here. I'm running out of coffee too. This is horrible. All our ash plants appear to be full. Where do we have an empty one? Do we have any empty ones? This one over here, we got a bit of space. I think we have to build an impromptu ash plant. Yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to bother with the gravel connection yet. I'm not even going to give this a name. I'll name it between episodes. I see very little space around here. And this guy should be actually picking that up. It's supposed to pick up when there's that much there. It just doesn't have room. Now, one thing I can do here is increase these all to 99%. Actually, that's what I'm going to do for now. Well, I'll make this 99 on all of them, because this is going to hit the fan soon. So this will allow it to pack in a few places. And let's go with the first 3 in this other ash removal facility. And what this is this is a distribution office. We have 2 of them dedicated for ash removal. And we have to use every little bit, because these places are getting full. Oh, we're going to have to go to more than that even. We're going to have to go to all these, go to 99. This is about to get really bad. Things aren't going great. This is why I don't do episodes in winter, because it's hard to speak and play the game. You know, I don't have a team of engineers helping me out here. Okay, these ones, if we got some spare ones here, I think we should send one over to ash here. Just for now, because once it gets caught up, we'll be okay. But we do have a backlog of ash, and we are burning. Like, we're at the end of winter here. Almost all the mixed waste needs to be burnt by the next month. Okay, before the end of the episode, basically. Well, at least close to it, because you still need some heat in March, but not nearly as much. And we are slowly transitioning off our dependency on it, right? This will stop producing heat once that reaches 39. You know what? Actually, I'm going to do a real quick bit here. This is called, I have an idea for a faster coffee refiller. I specifically only filled half my cup of coffee here. See? Well, there's a few drops. It's empty here. I've never done this. I've never run out of coffee on an episode because I usually drink exactly 1 cup. But I have an idea for a fast coffee refiller. I know a lot of people are pro-consumerism and they try to sell you on, I've heard of Keurig, obviously spelled K-O-O. It's consumer driven. They're trying to make you waste money on things you don't really need. Problems are created in order so that capitalists can provide the solution to you. And the problem is, how do you refill a cup of coffee really fast? Now, you're probably thinking, why don't you just use like a coffee urn or like a coffee pot and just pour it in there? But I have an idea that's even faster. And I'm going to do it on air, like live, uncut. Watch the time in the show. You see the little thing here? Each tick, if you want to know where I've cut in this show, where cuts have been made, you'll notice this jumps forward and the date changes. That's how you know when edit's done. So watch me refill this in real time, faster than anything ever done in the history. And this, I should be a billionaire because this is better than what other billionaires can do. I'll do it so fast you won't believe it. Watch this. Here you go. There you go. Look at that. See? Full cup. Just have a second cup ready. That's the secret. Ah, that was lame. Got to stay well, keep the palate lubricated. Okay, see, look at this. We're getting close to 39. Oh, they found one place to drop it off. We really need this build fast. We're going to have to build some more before the end. The ash doesn't blow away fast enough. I don't get it. There's like, it just stays there for that long. It appears to be all ash. Maybe there's other things in there. Who knows? But yeah, that one was getting full. Let's check this one out. This one's getting full. That one's getting full. But we've got everyone building this. Literally everyone's building that. No other construction vehicle matters except the ones that are building that. Built Hooters, obviously, in the sleazy part of town. Not that Hooters is sleazy, but of course I'm referring to Hooters with 3 O's. I think we need to go with an extra route on, I think, Garbage Eater 2. So this eventually, this drops off basically at all the heat plants. Well, it doesn't drop off at this one, but we have another, the main city kind of services this heat facility, so there's always workers there. But this one, you see the stop here and the stop here. This will reach the all the heat plants. So let's do that. And it might be redundant, but I don't want to screw around here because we can't go with the needle this low on the heat facility for that long. Okay. Although technically without enough room to place the ash, we're gonna have problems. Okay, now we're gonna have to grease this one further too. We are literally squeezing every inch out here. I didn't want to have to do this, but no choice. The ash dumps, that's another summary statement on building a dump city, is the ash doesn't dissolve fast enough. I don't think that's realistic that ash would stay that many years. I don't know, maybe some of them have other components, but this appears to be all ash. That should blow away by the end of the year, should it not? It seems weird. Oh, I'm going to do another topic here. I already did some ancient alien stuff. And I want to do something here. Let's get the church in this one here. Just because it's stupid. My theory on who God really is. I have a theory on religion and how the Bible is written. I think God's original name might have been Gord or something. I think Gord and God, if you look at the history of the name, might have been the same thing at one point. But who is God, right? A lot of people like to think it's some philosophical nonsense, some mumbo jumbo, so they can sell you more Bibles and sell you control and sell you that you need them as an authority figure so that they then use you as a slave. But I think it's simpler than that. I think God is the first name of a genetic engineer who was an Anunnaki who genetically altered the human race. That's who I think God is. Just a genetic engineer. Just a big ass alien. And maybe they made the cavemen before that, Cro-Magnon. Maybe we're spliced out of Cro-Magnon and they just come in and mix the DNAs a little bit. They say there's a percentage of our DNA. I forget what they're called, but there's a segment of it that has very peculiar origins that if you look at the other apes, they go, none of the other apes have this in their DNA. It looks like we were altered. So if you subscribe to the ancient alien theory, and I've studied it enough to understand the plausibility of it, which, there's a point where I thought, aha, you're just a Looney Tune for believing in this stuff. But the more I learned about it, way more interesting than going to church, I'll tell you that. Way more interesting, because there is some potential reality to it. Aliens, which are us, we are the aliens. We are partly their genetic code. But I think God was just the name of the genetic engineer. His name was Gord. That's it. It was just some guy, acted like us. Again, part of the ancient alien theory is that they acted like us. So that's why we can relate to them, because we are them. We are half alien, right? So if you want some crazy, there you go. Everyone likes a little bit of crazy on the internet. It's on you to watch every episode of Dump City on repeat 5 times so that you are well enlightened. You have a poor person joke. You know how people have like mama jokes, and there is a poor person genre of joke. I should probably actually read this one because I grew up poor. Majority entertainers did not grow up poor. There's a reason they're chosen to be entertainers. They want you to be consumeristic. I'm quite the opposite on this show. Anti-consumeristic. I'm about managing your money well and surviving with what you got. So as a result, I can tell poor people jokes. So here's one I made up. And I thought about this the other day while it was actually happening to me. So I didn't have enough ribs to eat. Okay, I had some ribs, but I had to ration my portion because I don't have enough food because I'm really poor. And I grew up poor. But here's the poor person joke. When I was young, we didn't have barbecue ribs. We had microwave rib. I don't know. 1 rib, and you put it in the microwave. Couldn't afford a barbecue. And that's what you did when you were poor. Anyways, I don't know. That's my poor person joke. Okay, we have heat issues in this game. Why is this taking so long? We are building it fast, though. Talk about a quickly built project. I'm not even looking at any other project. I got to go back and change those to 97 because what it's happening is it's picking up like half loads of ash to empty these things out. Okay, now they're cranking. Look at that. It's max capacity. But, okay, now this is out of mixed waste. We're done with this one. We can start laying off people immediately. So then they can go to the other ones and get rid of all the mixed waste. This is how you do winter. Okay? This all has to be empty in the next week, next 2 weeks of the game. Winter ends February 22nd if you're not familiar with the game. How are we doing here? Some sewage management there. It's not completely full. At the start of the episode, that was completely full. We lost 1,000 people this winter. Not as bad as last year, though. Last year we lost over 2,000. Because our peak population was well over 2,000 last year. But I think after this year, as we continue to grow Las Vegas, it's all because of Las Vegas and its inability to retain its population. That's what's causing all these problems. This really is the season finale. Except for a little half episode I might do. And it's going to be recorded many, many weeks after this. I'm going to have to do a month worth of editing. Like full-time job editing for a month. Just to get caught up. I'm about a dozen episodes behind right now. That's why I have to kind of say this is the end of the season. There's way more work editing the show than actually recording the show. Recording the show, setting up the game, doing all the game theory and research is half the work. The other half is editing, trimming every little bit. And the older episodes are bad because I really sucked at presenting. Getting a little better now, but I'm not perfect. I still say and ah here and there. I do got to cut those out if they're not fast enough. There has to be I can't pause for too long. The show becomes harder to watch when there are too many. When I'm trying to scrutinize micro details, it becomes problematic. Let's actually do I see there's a line here. I want to get this built. Let's assign. See, I said There I go. Got to cut that out. Oh, what a waste. I said not there. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll assign a construction office and we'll make that high priority. So this will increase our water being piped in. I think this might actually be new too. We do have a functioning water system. Okay, so this actually, we don't need the water trucks to bring the water, but the whole city isn't getting it. Just part of the city's getting it. So we need to build a line here to connect to the other water pump here so that it's being filled by trucks, frankly, right now. We're going to be out of mixed waste everywhere. Yeah, we have a lot of people dealing with. I hope we're not overflowing our hospitals. Ooh, okay, so you know you're in a death spiral, a freezing death spiral, when the treated patients is greater than what your doctors, but we're not, like, it's getting up there. It really is. But we're not quite there yet. Let's do a quick pause here, though. I want to see if we have any issues with our new heating plant. Episode 1 of next season is going to be it's going to be called Clean Coal, okay? I have about a dozen episodes planned for next season. And I don't have details of, idiotic topics in them yet, or rants or fake jobs or whatever, but I do know the gist of what I'm going to be explaining in the show. But part of the Clean Coal episode is we're going to set up both these heat plants here. And we're going to actually, maybe as the final thing, is demolish this coal plant here and be quite a bit more reliant on coal heating rather than our mixed waste, which is very, very hard to manage and unreliable. I have to cut out every single time I say That's the thing that sucks about editing. We're scrapping a bunch of vehicles here. You know what? I'm going to pause the scrapping here. It's not an essential job right now. Okay, so look at that. We have an overproduction of mechanical components. Maybe because we're not repairing fast enough. Something's fishy's going on here. Why isn't there a train? Oh, it's because we need to lose a bit more. 50, should be 60%. Yeah, that's what it is. It's too low a number. See, there we go. So that fixes our mechanical components problem. It's hard to think and play the game. I might have mentioned that a few times. Okay, this is an okay waiting problem. That's because we laid off some of our food workers, so it's processing slower. Oh, we maybe laid off too many. Let's hire some more back. We don't have much, like we're starting to lay off heat workers too, right? So we'll see how that works out. See if our extra ash facility is built soon. All this needs to be burned as fast as possible. And again, the heat plants, all these heat plants sort of merge into a manifold that heats. So as long as 2 or 3 of them are running, they're kind of all running. It's just a matter of using up all the heat. Oh my God. We have +7 in February. I don't think I recall seeing that. Okay, but what we are going to do is, okay, there's only a little bit of mixed waste there. So we're going to Still only have 3 jobs here. I hope a bunch of people didn't just head into work there. Good. Right before a bus arrived. So this one's going to just fizzle out. This is the last one we got to keep an eye on. I'm not too worried now. A little bit late to have our new dump built. Let's check the heat gauge here. Yeah, this has been producing a good amount of heat. We've got a lot of coal in there. It's a little expensive. We're paying for this coal, but we have so much money we don't care. So next season, we're going to be able to waste money. Hey, let's talk about Thailand versus Vietnam. Which country do you think is richer? So Thailand is a capitalist nation. Vietnam is a socialist nation. Which one do you think has more money right now? Do you think it's the capitalist nation? It is. Thailand actually has a higher GDP. I don't know if the thing with GDP is it counts things like leverage. Like if you create a paywall on something and mark up the price of your internet, like in Canada, if you charge 5 times the international standards for internet prices, you can claim that you have a higher GDP, but in actual fact, it's the same service either way. So that's the thing about GDP. It's a little bit misleading in terms of actual, real economic growth. It does tell you something because you assume that from nation to nation, they mark up things in a similar manner. But Thailand does have a higher GDP than Vietnam. However, Vietnam is growing much faster. And because it is socialist and doesn't extract wealth from, it doesn't cannibalize itself, it therefore will surpass Thailand in wealth, because the model in Thailand involves, like I say, it's inflating prices to generate higher income reports, but offering the same service as a socialist nation, i.e. it's not ripping you off as much in Vietnam to live there. So better for the citizens of Vietnam to live there, but in terms of accountants' quality of life, you're better off in Thailand. However, both will be better in Vietnam eventually once the poor people of Thailand have no wealth to get, or they're going to have to bail themselves out, causing inflation, which is the same effect. There's no escaping this principle. When you pay too much money for something that isn't worth that much money, it will eventually cause problems in your economy. Vietnam is definitely proving socialism works. Again, these are two nations very close to each other, very similar culture, similar neighbors, similar geography even. One is socialist, one is capitalist. And it's clear that even though Thailand has had the head start, Vietnam is going to surpass it if it continues to remain socialist. And it looks like socialism is a little bit better. It's kind of what you can conclude in that data point. Okay, we're getting up here in the show. Okay, the snow's going to melt at the end of the day here. Winter's coming to an end. It's actually beginning to melt here. And we didn't get this last one built. So see how this is? Everyone's empty. End of winter. It's still a little cold outside, but everyone's empty. This one here, this one's more or less empty. Again, we got 3 workers that could burn it a little bit here and there, but that's kind of managed here. This one's going to burn a little bit, and this will help let us deal through the rest of March. But of course, we're going to keep our other 2 coal plants max. And yeah, we lost 1,000 people. So ending the season with 2,000 people on census date. This is the official census count. This is the end of season 1 census count, 1991. Season 1. I think I'm going to stop recording the populations at this point. Our peak population occurred in 1989. We just had a really good heating year of 19,933. But here we lost quite a bit of people. Not as bad as last year, but improved a bit. And I think the Vegas, it all was Vegas, the expansion. It's a multi-year project when you move into those things. And if you're going to attack it like I did in the previous attempt, do it quicker, okay? Have your heat prepared. I didn't know that. I didn't know that people would still be, because there's like no one left in Vegas. There's the schools, no teachers. What do we got here? No kindergarten staff. No, like like that's where they all died. So this will grow up to 1,000 people again this summer as I prepare for next season. I'm going to set up a heat plant, and we'll see it. We'll actually see. I might actually do that. So the half episode you might see after the season finale here, which might just come out a week later, but in real time, this could be a month between now and when you see it. And it will only show 1992, perhaps. Maybe I'll do a little bit where it's the end of 1991. We'll play for just 2 months. I'll clip the middle like the other half episode, and you'll see what happens. Let's just add here another unload destination here. I'll fix these all up in between episodes here. I don't want to do that again, and we'll add another offload for this one. So we have more places to deliver our ash. I should probably build a couple more of these. It's ridiculous how much they get used up. You'd think there'd be like a finite amount, but maybe over the years the ash doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't blow away as fast. It's just strange. So one of the topics I want to talk about here is, if you've been watching the series, you'll notice that there's been some clues about an internet mystery in the show. It's called Cicada 3305. What does Cicada 3305 mean? It is a contest. I don't know what the prize is going to be, but I'll tell you how you can win. And it depends on how many subscribers I have. That will affect the prize. It could be $1 million. You could win $1 million in theory if I have enough subscribers. Okay, I'd have to have $1 million to give you. But I currently don't have that much, but you have to watch enough episodes. You could work as a team to do this. And this won't be clipped. This is only going to be in the show. If you're watching The Verdict on Socialism, you will hear this. So to win the contest, you need to respond to the comments in episode 1 or 13 only. If you respond in any other episode, you will not, even if you're correct, what the solution is, you're not going to win, because it only counts. That is part of the rule. That's part of the enigma puzzle here. 1 or 13 are all that matters. And what do you need to comment? You need to comment every letter that was part of the Cicada 3305 puzzle. There's various clues in various episodes. Some of them might have been said. Some of them you might have seen. Okay, very tricky. You might want to work with other people as a team. Watch some episodes and see if you can figure out, put it together, because you would pretty much have to watch the whole season. Again, I'm trying to reward loyal viewers here. I'm not, if you're a casual viewer of the show, why would I reward you as much as a loyal viewer? So I want the episode number and the letter of each clue. And you got to tell me, what word does it spell? Right? Once you know the word, so you can't just say the word, you can't just say the letters, you got to include the episode number the letter was in, and you have to respond in the comment section of 1 or 13. And I will completely ignore any other response. You will not get a yay or nay. I'll say nothing until I see these very specific rules followed. If you think you're a smart person and understand how to follow rules, those are the rules for this contest. This required a special diagram to plan this all out. This was ongoing. Sometimes you might have noticed me acting a little strange for some reason, and there was a hint there. Okay, it could have been the name of a truck or something, right? You never know, and you would have seen it on screen. So that's the whole point. So that's the Cicada 3305 rules. I want to do one final take here. Let's get this moving here. We'll run it a little bit here. This is Brento's final take on why capitalism fails. So the fundamental reason I think it's inferior is because the reward system lets you buy powers that accelerate the reward ratio in a finite capital system. Meaning that if you cannot create more value selling to other nations, you start creating profit by extracting wealth, by cannibalizing your own people, then you use that profit to reinforce that notion. Therefore, it can never fail that if you're born of the capital class, you will always die of the capital class. So this is fundamentally why it fails and why I think socialism, the big boys need to step in at some point and say, hey, you got bad business models. You're actually contributing to the failure of the nation, and you are a threat to society. And high level judges, the Supreme Court, need to step in and regulate and nationalize critical industries. Insurance needs to be nationalized. Healthcare needs to be nationalized. Critical infrastructure companies need to be nationalized. Food, all food producers need to be nationalized. These should not be for-profit systems because these people will use their profit to lobby the laws to never fail. And eventually this will lead to mass starvation and mass unrest and probably war, just like World War II. Capitalism is designed to lead us into war. So the verdict on socialism is it's better. Like it doesn't have to be a radical change in the US, but if you nationalize enough industries, then you've socialized the US enough that it will survive for more centuries. But if we continue this path, eventually there'll just be one monarch left. The king of the United States is all that's going to be left unless you do something about it. It needs to have a mechanism in place where it can eventually, people can fail. Money created from it must not be used to reinforce itself. It's illogical. That's just basic analysis tells you this will be a problem long term. I don't know if this format is too long. Comment below if you think these episodes are too long. If you like the half episodes, again, I did a little experimental one last episode, and I'll do an experimental one that will probably release after this next week. But do you like the shorter version? It is quicker to watch, but I think overall it's less of an event. I find that when I'm watching my edited episodes, it's like, oh, good, I get to watch a full event. This is it. I'm going to sit down with my popcorn and my pop, and I'm going to watch the thing start to finish and be entertained start to finish, right? So what do you think? Is it your interlude in life to watch this show? Okay, so I want to do a quick topic here. This is Brento's idea for Real Socialism in the United States. From what I recall, I was looking up some stats on the Communist Party of China, and I think it has like a few 100 million or 100 million or so members. That means that, is it just basically a corporation, that a competitive market that nationalizes so many goods that they're the social good competitor? I think the US could do the exact same thing. All you need is a few billionaires to say, you know what, let's become the Communist Party. Basically, the idea is to cause deflation in the market and teach people that deflation is good for the market, because like when you make the rational, if you think you're making a rational argument that a bit of inflation is good, you're probably doing it from the perspective is it helps people's pensions, but the cost to it is actually much worse than that. So what, your pension goes up 5%, but if the cost of living goes up more than that, and the amount of your expense of it is exceed that, it doesn't make sense to protect the pension plan. It seems like the whole pension investment idea is not necessarily a great one. That should probably be nationalized. It just should be universal basic income. Universal basic income just replaces the pension. It's over, right? If you contributed more to it, maybe you get more UBI. There'll be some corrections for it. If money was taken away from your paycheck, you should get that money back, right? I totally agree with that. But then throw UBI and then never do it again. But I think for a socialism to work in the United States, it's just a big corporation, and it just competes in every industry, offers you the lowest cost insurance, offers you the lowest cost healthcare. We're talking a big company here, a multi-trillion-dollar company. This requires multiple billionaires involved. Maybe Jeff Bezos jumps in and goes, you know what? Maybe I will do this. Your company's going to get nationalized anyways, Jeff, so you may as well jump the gun and get involved in communism now before it happens. So yeah, I think that's how you would do it in real life. A real life socialist in America would be a giant corporation, because I think frankly, I think like the top four biggest banks in the world are Chinese, but they're cooperatively owned, much like a big company where you could have 100 million Americans part of the Communist Party of America, just a giant corporation whose intent is to make everyday goods, staple goods, the roads you drive on, everything you need, the basic necessities, not the nonsense stuff, just the basic stuff, just like in China. Do that, and I think you'll have a long-lasting nation. Failure to do that will probably result in an outcome similar to Rome. So learn from your history, and I just think that's how it's going to work in America when it actually gets done. All right, that's my little speech. Did we run out of money? Oh, we did. Oh, well. I yapped a little bit too long. Okay, I'm going to do one last thing here before I sign out. I think we'll just summarize here. All our mixed waste is gone. This can go down to 3 workers. And we're just burning what the little bits show up here. It's 15 Celsius. We lost a lot of people, not the greatest of winters. This actually worked pretty well. We kept that pinned. We can actually probably start taking some of these trucks and scrapping them. So yeah, I'm going to do one last thing here where I go over the economics here. I'm going to have to actually take myself out of view to show you the numbers here. We have to hide some windows here. Let me just, I think this here. There we go. So now, okay, I'm hidden here. Now you just hear my voice. So let's look at the numbers. Problem is we couldn't look at the numbers with me in the picture. But what were last year's? This is the end of season 1. So this is the result. That's pretty much exactly 3 million. 1.2 in the, the black in rubles and 1.7 in US dollars profit. Okay. So we are doing very well here. We got a lot of expenses imported, but we also make a lot of money. I think the verdict is socialism can work. You just got to take your time. You got to be diligent. You got to plan things well. We have at the end here too, our borrowing power is 11 million in rubles at the end of 30 years and 7.5 million here in US dollars. So looks like it was pretty profitable. Get myself back in the picture here. Might have to do some edits there to make that a little smoother, but that's, yeah, it looks like we made some money in the season. Was really bleak at one point, but this is our, this is year to year we can do that. And it's going to get more profitable as we become more economically independent and distance ourselves from capitalism. So I guess that's the season. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Comment below. What do you think should change in the format? I apologize for the earlier episodes. I was learning the game. I was learning how to stream. I've grown a lot. To learn how to become an entertainer is quite a bit of practice. Now I just got to figure out how to, game the algorithm a little bit to get a little more views. The way it works now, the system's not friendly. It by default will only reward capitalists. You got to spend money to be famous on YouTube. Even someone who has 10,000 subscribers probably had to sell their car just to get that far. I don't have that much money to sell, so I have to figure out other creative ways. So tell other people about the show. If you like the show, if you find it entertaining, the format of random topics and gameplay entertains you. Not many like it. This is somewhat an original show. Maybe a pilot for this style of show. Maybe you'll see other entertainers do this as well. This is my fake job. I got to make some money off this. So I'm hoping to be monetized by the next season. So then I can improve the quality of the show with that money. But until then, I'm still doing this out of pocket, out of my own time. It's been a full-time job for quite a while now. I have to go to a food bank to feed myself. So, I'm on Patreon too. I'm on Twitter. Don't miss me on Twitter. Patreon would probably be a little bit more useful. Twitter doesn't, it's just me talking crap all day. And I have a lot of clips here, and yeah, I'm going to make a season 2. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed doing this. I liked what was coming out of it. And I think eventually the algorithm will pick it up, but it needs your help. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you enjoyed the season, and I will see you next season.